The Institute for Faith and Freedom at Grove City College presents Meet the Scholars with your host, Senior Student Fellow Grace Riley.
Hello and welcome to the third season of Meet the Scholars. My name is Grace Riley, and today the Institute for Faith and Freedom is happy to welcome Dr. Jeffrey Bilbro. Dr. Bilbro serves as an Associate Professor of English at Grove City College. He is an author with his most recent book being Reading the Times, a literary and theological inquiry into the news. He's done a lot of research on many interesting topics, but in addition to this, he is an editor at the Front Porch Republic and a contributor to the Liberating Arts. Dr. Bilbro, thank you so much for joining me.
It's good to be talking to you today, Grace.
Thank you. Well, to begin, tell us about what drew you to Grove City College and how you incorporate faith into the classroom.
Yeah, I've known about the college for many years. This is only my second year here, but I've known faculty here for a while. I've had some good friends who had a great experience getting their undergrad degrees here. And when I was at my former institution, I brought a group of students to the Christian Writers Conference that the college hosts every spring, and they had a great time. So when the English department had an opening, I was thrilled to have the opportunity to come here. And yeah, one of the things I appreciate about teaching at Grove City College is the opportunity to be explicit about my faith in the classroom. And so, I just came out of class. We were having a rich discussion about Paradise Lost and how Milton is reading the Bible and how his theology is, engaged or interacting with other Christian visions of theology and what the fall means. So we talk about faith all the time. In my writing classes, we talk about what does it mean to speak faithfully and responsibly, to have an obligation not just to persuade your reader, but to speak the truth and to try to persuade them of the truth. So it definitely shows up in different classes in different ways, but it's a great blessing, I think, to be able to wrestle with questions of faith as we also look at ideas and developing skills of reading and writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I certainly feel that blessing as a student here at Grove City College. And just kind of going off of that, so as you're mentioning, we're called as Christians to be in the world, but not of it. And part of that is figuring out how to navigate writing, how to navigate the news, and all of the things that come at us every day, because there's a lot happening in the secular world that bombards us from every angle on our phones every day, and just in the normal fast-paced news cycle. And one of the things that you've spoken about in a series you did for Grove City College, which people should check out, but one of the things you spoke about was our obligation as Christians to look for the light and have faith in the good news and focus on that rather than just focusing on the fast-paced news that hits us every single day. So with that considered, what is your advice to Christians in focusing on the light and the more eternal news rather than the news that hits us every day?
Yeah, it's a big question. Obviously, I wrote a book about it. I gave that set of YouTube lectures, and now I'm working on another book that's a kind of more scholarly treatment of similar questions. So I'll try to keep this brief. I think it's helpful to keep in mind the purpose, maybe, of the news, that it shouldn't just be a kind of entertainment or a way of getting my outrage in for the day and getting my emotions riled up, making me feel something. But maybe Christians, at least, should understand the purpose of the news as giving us the information that we need to love our neighbors well. And if we keep that end in mind, then I think it helps us to better regulate our information diet. So instead of just kind of opening ourselves up to the fire hose of information online, thinking about what is God calling me to do in my neighborhood, in my family, in my spheres of influence, and what do I need to know to do that well and to meet the needs of my community. So in that book, I try to look through, with that lens in mind, try to think about what that means for where we should attend to, what we should attend to and how, for how we should imagine when and where we are, like how do I prioritize the old stuff with the new stuff, and then thinking about what communities I belong to and what are my obligations to those, obviously the church primarily, but also my local community and the other communities that I belong to, and then how should my information diet be tied to our communities?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of wrap up, you are working on a new book now. So can you tell us a bit about that and about any other projects you're working on?
Yeah, so this fall I have one book manuscript due. It's kind of a longer, more scholarly treatment about these questions of the news. But I also have a book that I've helped edit, have been working on for the last couple of years. That's actually coming out this fall. It's called The Liberating Arts, Why Liberal Education Matters. And I think it's the kind of flip side of the news, right? If the news is a temptation to kind of overindulge in superficial information, maybe a liberal arts formation, especially a Christian liberal arts formation, offers that ballast, that kind of rich diet we need to ground us in truth. And it's been a really rewarding project. There's probably 25 or 27 contributors to the book, so it's been a lot of work to edit. But it's really exciting to see teachers and educators and people in the nonprofit world, people in the business world, come together and have these conversations about why liberal arts education matters in this time of economic scarcity, of a kind of a sense that we need to do stuff now, kind of activist culture, and maybe pushing back a little bit against both of those tendencies and saying what really matters is how we are formed as persons to exercise our freedom well and to be a blessing to our communities. And what kind of education do we need now to affect that? And maybe it's very similar to what people have needed for the last hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Grace.
Thank you so much for listening, and be sure to check out all of Dr. Bilbro's work. You can find his Life of the Mind series on Grove City College's YouTube. You can look up his website, you can find his book, Reading the Times, and be on the lookout for the new one coming out. Thank you so much for tuning in to Meet the Scholars. We look forward to seeing you next time.